But we'll be fine.
Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday to our listeners, and welcome to this week's episode of Industry Chats by Affixify. I am really excited to have a friend of mine and an influencer and just an all around great person, Curtis Crimmins, on with us. So, Curtis, welcome.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. So, I say friend, we've become like LinkedIn buds, but now we're like, we've moved on to now we're like, Zoom.
Well, I love your content, and I didn't say this before we started, and I meant to, but everything I've ever said to you in your DMs, I really meant, and I think you're a great leader in our industry, and and you've always been super kind to me, and I really appreciate you inviting me here to come talk.
No, I'm thrilled and thank you. That's so kind. I love our chats. We have some good chats in the
We
DM.
do have good
Um,
chats. It's good to be human sometimes, no?
it is, yeah, and I think that's what I love. And so before we jump in, because we are going to talk about guest loyalty today, I really like this topic. You are the first guest, the first guest we've ever had to talk about this on this show. I think we're like 52 shows in, so like you're the first. I cannot wait. But before that, so Curtis is the CEO and founder of Roomza. And Curtis, give us like a quick intro on you. You have a really awesome like just story background and what you guys do at Roomza. Like take the floor for a minute and tell us about you.
So I started in hotels, like a lot of you know, as a kid. I followed my mom, who was a hotel housekeeper, to work, and I'm really proud of that. And just as a quick 15-30 second aside, the reason I'm so proud of that is because I wasn't when I was a kid. I would go to school and lie about what my mom did for work because I was ashamed of her. And then she found out about that because I didn't tell her that the school was having a career day.
Mm.
She would have wanted to come, and I remember her crying about that as about 10 years old, and that just completely shifted everything and the way that I think. And so I fell in love with hotels because of how much my mom loved it. To where I'm from and Southeast Georgia, the trailer park, working in hotels was considered a good job
Yeah.
if you could get it, and people had a lot of pride in that, and I had a lot of pride in that, and I still do. And that's kind of how I got into hotels. I was a concierge, and I've been a manager. I started Roomza during the pandemic after working with my friends at Oyo for a while and kind of seeing the entrepreneurial and startup side of it. Started Roomza. Sam is my co-founder, as you guys know. So me and Sam started Roomza as a hotel brand. And after opening three of them and hanging wallpaper and doing all that stuff, we quickly discovered that, sorry, the last thing the world needs is another hotel brand. Um, but we had built a lot of really cool technology to operate our hotels that we're now bringing to the market in what we're calling Roomza Intelligence. So
Mm.
if you go to roomza.com, your property may already be on Roomza. There are over almost 7,000 properties on Roomza. And we're collecting room level intelligence about your property. We're getting it from TikTok, we're getting it from YouTube, we're getting it from TripAdvisor, we're getting it from Google reviews. And not only are we parsing it, but we're mapping it to what room it belongs to. So if you go to the Wynn Resort page on Roomza, you can see room 1837 that has come from YouTube, but the guest never says that in the video, never shows the room number in the video. We're able to pick it up from one quick frame where he flashes the in-room iPad, and then we're able to tell Wynn if that property is in good, if that room is in good shape or not, or if it needs to be touched. And this is all computer vision. It's not subjective. It's not the GM says we need new carpet.
Right.
It's
Right.
based on the threat analysis, we need new carpet. So
Yeah.
Roomza is just now rolling this out, and if any hoteliers want to try it, it's completely free. Just reach out to me. It's free to try, I should
Free
say.
to try. We'll give you a complimentary short
Yeah.
term. No, that's phenomenal. I think it's incredible. And what I like is that it's not subjective, is that you're actually using intelligence to do so. I hope this just soars for you guys because this is
Well,
very needed. I
well,
love it.
the thing is, we as hoteliers sell rooms, and I know that we sell other things too. We sell a feeling, we sell an experience. But if we're buying a hotel, if we're selling a hotel, if we're pricing a hotel, our units of inventory are the rooms, and it's the thing that we have the least amount of insight into. It dawned on me when I was operating rooms in New Orleans that the internet knew our rooms better than we did. We just didn't have a way to harness that information and map it to the room, and so I invented it.
I love it. It's brilliant. And you're creating a category of new tech, it sounds like, which is always the hardest but most rewarding thing
Yeah,
to
and I
do.
like hard stuff. So what can I do? The easy way, no, thank you.
Yeah. 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 We say all the time in my house, like if the old saying, is if it was hard, everybody, or if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
And so, yeah, I live by that.
We
But
don't do these things because they are easy. We do them
yes,
because we think they are easy.
yeah, yeah. I always laugh in my journey. Like I genuinely thought like, oh, tech matchmaking. I thought this would be the simplest. And in some ways it is simple, but it has not been my journey. And it's a lot more complicated once you get into whatever you're starting. So kudos to you.
Complicated, right? Like that,
Yeah.
and that's sort of a reality about our industry, and something that we'll talk about here is why so many things that get launched for our space fail to deliver is because the moment all of those aspirational technology products hit the very complex reality of hotel operations,
Right.
it doesn't always work.
Yeah. It's like, you're right. Complex reality is like the new tagline.
This is where your job is complicated. It
Yeah.
sounds like, matchmaking is easy, but anybody who's worked a day at hotels knows that every hotel operates differently, even under the same flag, even under the same ownership portfolio.
Absolutely.
And so there just is no one size fits all solution, and it's bespoke because of the rails and how we built the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then that doesn't even get, touch integration and all of it's so fragmented, but I digress. That's
We picked a hard way to make money.
right. That's exactly right. Oh my goodness. So I want to dive into this topic of loyalty today. I love like a good loyalty program just as a consumer, right? For me personally, I have 3 boys. So I am all about the points and things and like food apps. So like where I most leverage loyalty points is like, what can we get, if we get this much pizza, right? Like I really do because they eat. But anyway, so it's interesting because you have definitely brought up some really good points in our pre-show notes about loyalty. Before we dive into it, because we are going to kind of talk about the old model, why it's not working, what will work, all of that. Tell me a little bit about the landscape of hotel loyalty in our industry. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but just like based on what you've seen, what does this look like? Because I know there's brand loyalty and then there's third parties that come in and they provide loyalty. I mean, what does that all look like?
Well, that's what I think is the central struggle that's happening right now is brand loyalty versus other loyalty, right? Which is funny because the hotels have to opt into all that, but that's a whole other story. I think that right now, so pardon me for being blunt and telling the truth, but loyalty is just complicated bribery, right? And that's why it is so effective, because you have 3 boys. It works, right? Like it's like, hey, clean your room. Here's $20.
It works.
And are we proud of it? No, but we need things to get done, right? And so I think that what's starting to happen though is bribery only works when I get the bag of money. If you promise me the bag of money and then you don't give me the bag of money, well, then you didn't bribe me, you scammed me. And I'm not saying that that's what's happening. I'm just saying that's sometimes how consumers are left feeling when if I book through some third-party loyalty program that's maybe connected to my credit card or whatever, these hotels have agreed to give me free late check-in and free early check-in and a free upgrade and all these other things that I have to beg for at the front desk if I book direct. Right.
And then it's not always being delivered.
Well, it's not always being delivered. And I think that there are a lot of reasons for that. I think the franchise system has a lot to do with that, right? About brand loyalty. A lot of us in the industry, we understand that in the franchise system, the franchisor only has so much power and they only can do so much to compel these owners to participate uniformly. So I think that changing consumer behavior, primarily around product intelligence and knowing what they're buying and think about going to a concert.
Right.
If you're going to a concert with your friends, you're not satisfied to know that you're sitting in section 140 before you pay $500 for a ticket. You want to know the POV. You want to know how close you are to the concessions. You want to know the view. You want to know what row. You want to know that you and your friends are going to sit together. And Ticketmaster and Eventbrite and all these other platforms are willing to give you that information.
Sure. Yeah.
We aren't as a hospitality industry. But AI is making it so much easier for people to find out all this product information before they press that buy or confirm button. Those promises that we're making are a part of our product, right? The early check-in, the late check-in. We can pretend like they're not and just some subject to availability thing on it. but the consumer is just going to go book elsewhere where we have agreed to make that benefit guaranteed.
What do you think? So this kind of makes me think of like loyalty in general. What comes to my mind too is airlines, right? Like that's probably a whole different, but when I was in the very corporate world before this and I was traveling all the time for my former company, I mean, I had American Airlines, status, and that meant something. Like I actually really appreciated that for XYZ. And nowadays it's like, I don't even know that matters. So do you feel like loyalty in general has been cheapened by any industry? Because what used to, even like flying back in the day, used to be so prestigious, and now you just feel like you're like cattle called like into the airplane. But on the hotel front, like, do you think that at one time there was some prestige around that, and it really did mean something to be loyal to one specific hotel or group, whereas now it's just kind of like a must do because everybody's doing it? Like, what do you think about that?
I still think the prestige play is very, very common, and it's very effective, right? Like there are a lot of that's the reason we do a lot of the things that we do, right? Is prestige or perceived prestige. And I think it still exists at some of the invite only tiers and some of the brands with the eye-watering minimum spend. But I'm one of those guests, and I hear from other people who are in those same tiers that even that experience isn't what it used to be, right? I posted something from another guest in the comments of one of your posts for Affixify, where I said, where they had a confirmed suite upgrade from the brand based on their invite only tier status or whatever, just to find out that, oh, hey, because the hotel we could sell that room for more money, we're not going to give that to you. I think a big mistake that we're making is that where we're gutting some of that prestige is that we expect that the consumer cares about our business reasons, right? Like we communicate these reasons to the consumer, hoping that they're going to be like, oh, I understand, Mr. $100 million hotel. You need the money. I get it.
Yeah.
And it reads really, I think it comes across the wrong way if you're a guest.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And I think I'm curious what your take is then. So like we know that this old model is not working very well, and we hear about it a lot, right? Like in the news and things, that as things have happened socially, that these very loyal guests have been just like, thrown out. I mean, that's a different topic, but where are guests going then? So they're migrating somewhere. You talk about third parties. Where would you say like that they're going? And I know in our pre-show, we even talked a little bit about like credit card loyalty and things like that, but if we were to have the same conversation in 2 years, where do you think the industry would be with loyalty?
Oh man, it's tough to say. I think that we agreed, man, if we go all the way back to like the beginning of OTAs, right? Like we agreed to make our rooms into a commodity.
Yeah.
And when we agreed to do that, to make distribution easier and to make it global and scalable, so that commoditization is sort of what I think has led to where we are now, where anybody can sell our rooms. Yeah. I'm selling rooms on rooms.com for over 7,000 hotels, and I don't need your permission, right? I think where it gets tricky is what we agree to. If you are a hotel and you are agreeing to participate in some, credit card loyalty program, they don't get to promise early check-in for free unless you agree to early check-in for free. So I don't know that it's what we're doing isn't working. I think we're just losing sight of the fact that the consumer has a lot of choice. Right. And I would just encourage hotels that if you're going to participate in this program where you are agreeing to give away something that you're not giving to your direct guests, that you automatically, as a matter of course, give it to your direct guests as well, and give it to your direct loyalty guests as well. I think it's bad practice to give something to a third party, no matter how prestigious that third party may be, that we're not giving to our direct or loyalty guests.
Yeah. Well, because there's a reason the guest keeps booking, right? Like there's a reason for the loyalty. So we support that.
You got to show them the money up front. Nobody is going to, 30 years ago, I'm talking to my mom about this. 30 years ago, you go to an event and she was like, yeah, I had to get there early with my friends because we didn't know where we were going to be sitting, just a section.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, that is crazy to me.
Crazy. And now, I mean, everybody picks it. I mean, we even have a really cool vendor that you can pick your specific room, like kind of like you pick an airplane seat. I mean, now there's
that's where everything is going, right? Yeah. But I think that, with loyalty, we're just doing the same thing we've always done. One of the things I like to say is pretend that you have a spell and you say this spell and then poof, instantly $100 billion materializes. Nobody is ever going to get you to believe that that spell doesn't work, even if it only worked once, right? And that's sort of what happened with hotel loyalty. We saw that this thing worked. We saw that people loved the cachet of it, the prestige aspect to it. It was so easy for us to give away, these low impact things and then slap a subject to availability sticker on it.
Yep.
But then, through the commoditization, somebody got the bright idea that, hey, wait a minute, Mr. Hotel, if I promise to send you all of these guests, you have to promise to let them check in at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, without a second thought. And then your direct guests, right, who have a lot of choice and agency, which was my point about the concert, right, who have a lot of choice and agency. I know some guests that are doing spreadsheets. And I think 5 years from now, our phones maybe have 5 apps on them and it's conversational. And we just say, hey, book me this.
Love it.
And we're going to do that in a way for you that is most rewarding for you and where it knows what you're going to get. Not subject to availability, not we're going to do our best, not if the weather permits, that you're going to get to check in at 12 o'clock. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Actually, my sister recently had this happen at a resort in our area, a very kid-friendly resort. And they specifically requested, it was early, like a late checkout. And I can't remember the details, but because it was a birthday, the hotel, someone wanted to honor it, as someone at the front desk said, but it didn't. And so they came back from the pool. They're all excited. They get a late checkout. The kids are so excited and they're locked out of their room. Their key cards didn't work. And obviously,
in there.
Worked it out.
Then you say, oh, I'm so sorry. That's the hotel's policy.
Yeah, but yes, I'm like.
And then they say, okay, well, I hope you enjoyed my money because you will never get any more of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it definitely changed as a consumer. I'm like,
are you going to go back there? Probably.
Yeah. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So when did you
say really quick, Jasmine, just as hoteliers, put on your consumer brain sometimes, right? Like that's what I tell people. Save your consulting dollars. Just think like a guest because we are consumers in our own industry. It's just like at a grocery store, right? You buy what you sell. We buy what we sell. We consume what we sell. How does it make you feel as a consumer?
Have you seen it done well by anybody? Like, have you seen a group or anybody do loyalty well, where you're like, oh, that looks like what it should?
Yeah. But the problem is like, so yeah, sorry to look away. I'm thinking, so yes, but I don't want to say who they are because even with those programs, it's not consistent.
Okay.
That's fair. And the tough thing is even sometimes with those guaranteed programs, like, so say that I have a premium credit card that I'm paying a lot of money for, and I call that concierge and they book me this hotel and I'm supposed to get a 4 p.m. late checkout and the hotel just says no. I've had that happen.
You're like, oh.
Where the hotel's just like, no, we're not doing that. And we think to ourselves like, it's just one guest. I myself, as a hotelier, have said something along the lines of one guest, but that one guest can go and, now that we're mapping YouTube videos, we're seeing some YouTube room tour videos that have millions of views. Imagine that someone, and guess what? I hate to break it to you, the negative ones get a lot more views than the positive ones.
Every time.
So imagine that you have an awful room out there floating around on YouTube and 5 million people have seen it. And you don't even know that it exists.
Wow. I think it's very thought-provoking, honestly. And I'm not in the hotelier shoes, but I think it's very thought-provoking. And I think too, like there's a technology aspect, is your technology helping keep up with this? But there's more of a services aspect, it sounds like, is like, are we really providing the service that people expect with hospitality?
It's super simple though. It's promises made and promises kept. A loyalty program is nothing more than a construct of promises.
That's so true.
And we can just do pro-con analysis. Are we keeping more promises than we're breaking, or are we breaking more promises than we're keeping? And then if you look at those credit card companies and the other third-party loyalty programs, are they keeping more promises than they're making what they promise, and the same nature applies. And then the math is simple. The consumer is going to go to whomever keeps their promises more.
It's so true. Well, and a lot of people, especially like, people you and I know, they're traveling all the time. So it really does matter, where they're going to spend their dollars. I mean, I think it does matter. And so have you had in this journey, like you speak on loyalty. So like, have you had an aha moment that brought you to really want to speak on it? Like where, cause you seem to have a lot of experience with
When it
it.
happened to me. When it
Yeah.
happened to me. When it happened to me, actually, talking about my mom, a real aha moment.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say the brand, but my mom missed a flight in Newark, got stranded overnight. They gave her a hotel voucher to go to the hotel. She goes. My mom doesn't travel on her own. Like she's this, she's country bumpkin, love her to death.
Yeah.
And she's here at this hotel and she's trying to get checked in and in this brand, I'm an invite only member of their thing. And so I call the hotel and I tell them, hey, my mom is there. I'd really love to get her booked. I wasn't trying to do anything shady with points. I was just going to book it for her. And I get everything booked. I add her as an accompanying guest, and just kind of as like I was like, oh, if you wouldn't mind, because her flight was later. I was like, if you wouldn't mind, giving her a late checkout because it's really late. It was like the middle of the night. I was like, it may be an upgrade because of my invite only status. And the person on the other end of the phone said, well, is she in invite only status? What status is she? And I said, well, she doesn't have any status. And they said, well, there you go. And I said, okay, thank you. And I hung up. And I didn't forget about it. That stuck with me that whole time of, well, what's her status? Well, there you go. Well, I think that says a lot about why people are signing up for our loyalty programs and then not using them.
That is exactly what it's about how we make people feel, right? Like you'll never forget that experience because of the way it made you. And when it comes to like people we love, right? That's just.
They could have said, oh, we don't have a room available, but we really appreciate your loyalty, Mr. Crimmins.
Yeah.
Said, okay. Or they said, we're going to take great care of your mom because we know that she's stressed out and freaking out. But no, they signaled to me that we are perfectly willing to make a bad situation worse for your mother because you're not standing here in front of us and we have no accountability to you. That's what it's really about, right? It's really about accountability. We look at the world around us and we wonder, why is everything falling apart? Why is nothing as good as it used to be? Why does no one care about their jobs? Why does no one care about their homework? Why does no one care about safety? Why does no one care? It's because there is a lack of accountability across the board. We are all performing for an audience that doesn't even know that we exist, and we are trading accountability for it.
Amen.
And this is what happens when we have free license to break our promises.
Yeah.
A loyalty program is nothing more than a construct of promises. Hotels are breaking those promises, and then we're giving BS business reasons that we expect guests to understand to write it off and poo-poo it. And it's just not going to work. It's not going to fly. And maybe for the next 3 years, we'll get away with it. But hotels need to understand the spell from the 90s is broken. It does not work anymore. And you look ridiculous repeating it to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's a really good point. And no, I think you and I talked too of like, you do a great job of always presenting various sides of, of things. So I think it's a very good point. And I think my last question would be for anyone watching this that's a hotelier, like, and they want to do it better. Like, and obviously they may not have, it depends, right? It depends on who they are and where they work and all of that. But like, if I were opening a hotel or a small hotel group, like, do you have like a step one that would just, I know it's promises made, promises kept, but like step one, what would make a good loyalty program? Like,
well, there are good loyalty programs. I would argue that most of the loyalty programs are good. I don't think we need to reinvent loyalty. I think some of the third-party loyalty programs are good. I'm actually talking with one right after this call, and I'm really excited to talk to them.
Timing, I love it.
Yeah. So I think that the loyalty programs are good. I think the brand loyalty programs are good. Yeah. I think that we just have to get more serious about honoring the things that we are promising, and really looking for an excuse. One of the things I like to say, not to get religious or anything, but one of the things I like to say about providence or think, people like to use religion to keep other people out of their spaces. And I like to say that whatever God you pray to or you believe in is probably a God of inclusion, is probably looking for a reason to let people in versus for a reason to to keep people out. And I think as hoteliers, we need to be looking for a reason to keep these promises and not looking for a reason not to. And that's step number one, right? If you're a DOS, if you're a general manager, if you're just a hotel front desk agent, study up on what your brand is promising and make it your business to make sure that your hotel delivers on it. And when it doesn't, hold each other accountable.
So good. So
even if you're holding your manager accountable, hold them accountable and say, hey, as a brand, we are promising this and we are not delivering on it. Because you know what? The next time you go to an airport or the next time you go somewhere where you have status, you expect those promises to be kept to you.
Right. Yeah. Oh, so good. I'm fired up. Now I'm like, maybe I'm in the wrong space. I need to go into loyalty. No, I'm just kidding. And I agree. I mean, you know my stance on that, but I agree that you know my stance on God and God.
But I think that's it, right? It's anybody can start doing it in their property right now. Go study what your brand is already promising directly. And you know, so two things I would say if you're a hotel, you're listening. If you have the power to, make sure that your loyalty program and your direct programming is doing just as much, if not more than your most generous third-party loyalty promise, right? Okay. And then I would say the second thing is take an inventory of what you're promising and buy-in from your team on promises made and promises kept, and make it simple for them. People are exhausted at the performative talk. People are exhausted at the BS corporate speak. Just say it plain.
Right.
Breaking our promises to the people who pay us. We got to stop doing that or they're going to stop paying us.
Right. Very straightforward. Very straightforward. Yeah. Well, this is so good. I love it. I love this conversation. By the way, you did phenomenal live. So you don't ever have to worry about being live. But I think we should do a follow-up to this. And I don't know, maybe it's in a year or so, but just, it's going to be interesting to see how things progress or digress, you know, in this space. And so I think it's worth tracking and it's a big topic, needs to be touched on more. Like I said, you're our first guest to ever touch on loyalty. So I think it's phenomenal. And you've given us a lot to think about, Curtis. So thank you so much. And before I go, like anybody that heard about Roomza or just wants to talk more, like where's the best place they can contact you and start a conversation?
Curtis@roomza.com, or just go to roomza.com and you can look up, just click on the nav menu and go to 4 hotels. As a hotelier, something I hate is being sold. Yeah. So you can get a free demo and look at it instantly. You can get your free trial code and start instantly. You can onboard your property with no PMS integration. You don't have to talk to anybody. And you get, and if you sign up for an annual plan, we send you free signs, which are pretty nice. They look like this.
Let's see.
And you get up to 120 of them, and they have a QR code, and each one goes in each room. And so if Jasmine is in room 412 and she scans this QR code, you get intelligence instantly about room 412.
Okay, that's so good. I love it. Well, you heard it. Then let's, you know, if you're watching later on YouTube or you're watching live, reach out to Curtis. Curtis, thank you so much. It's such a dream.
It's been a real pleasure. Let's do this again.
Yes, we will have you on again, and we will be back next week. I admit, we have so many guests right now. I don't know the topic next week, but I will know soon. But we will be back next week at the same time. And also, I'm going to add a plug. Follow Curtis on LinkedIn as well, because you have some really great thought leadership, and I love your thoughts and I love your posts. So with that said, I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Curtis, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.